So hello, out there in Zoom land. I'm Nancy Defford. I'm the Executive Director for PEN, the Pasadena Education Network. Oh, and we have a little one who is joining in. And we're here tonight to talk about open enrollment in PUSD. And joining me tonight is Susan Schwartz, our Program Director. So welcome. So tonight we're going to be talking about navigating open enrollment in PUSD. This does not include the charter schools or private schools. They have their own processes. So you'll need to check with them to find out their timelines and how their process works. I'd also like to encourage you to wait until the end of the presentation to put your questions into the chat. We'll have plenty of time to answer them, but we're going to cover a lot of information. So if you could just hold off on that, hopefully we'll answer your questions as we go. And just to keep you informed, PEN is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are separate from the school district. So we work with parents who are considering public school, and also once you're in the schools, we'll help you get more engaged. We also work with district leadership to bring the parent voice to their decision making. So if you value our service, we hope you consider making a donation to our programs. Okay, so I'm going to get started here. So first, eligibility date. So if for transitional kindergarten, that will be for 4-year-olds by September 1st, 2026 for next school year. For kindergarten, that'll be 5-year-olds, and first grade, 6-year-olds. Now, if you are completing an open enrollment application, your students' birth dates must fit within those dates, or the application actually won't let you to move forward. So keep that in mind. So before we talk about open enrollment, I do want to talk about your neighborhood school. So PUSD is an open enrollment school district, which means that in addition to having an assigned neighborhood school, you can also submit an application to attend a school other than your assigned school. Now, before deciding whether you want to participate in open enrollment, we encourage you to visit your neighborhood school. If you don't know what your neighborhood school is, you can go to the school locator. You can get to that through PEN's website on our open enrollment page. There's a link. Or you can go to the enrollment page on PUSD's website, and you'll be able to click on the Find My School link. So this gives you an idea of what it looks like. I've actually typed in my address, and so you'll see it comes up and it tells me what my elementary school is, my middle school, my high school. And then because I lived in a neighborhood preference zone for Marshall, that school also shows up. I will talk a little bit later about neighborhood preference zones, so don't ask about it now. Hold that thought. Okay, so which schools are the right schools for your family? So I'm going to assume that all of you have been to our website so that you've seen there's lots of information that will help you figure out what schools might be the right fit for your families. Now, most families attend their neighborhood school, so we encourage you again to check out your neighborhood school first. But if there are schools that you think might be a better fit for your family than your neighborhood school, then you'll need to participate in open enrollment. Please keep in mind that there is no one right school for every family, because every family has different priorities, values, and needs. So you might prioritize a special program or arts or sports or science, school size or diversity different than your friends do. Or you might need a school that's on your way to work or has a later start time. So we encourage you to think through what's important to you before deciding which schools you want to apply. So what is open enrollment? Open enrollment is the random lottery, and you need to participate in open enrollment if you want to attend a school other than your neighborhood school, any dual language immersion program, even if the program is right next to your house, magnet programs, and all TK enrollment. So anybody who is looking to enter TK next school year, you must participate in open enrollment. Current fifth grade students who expect to participate in the Advanced Math Academy program should also submit an open enrollment application if Sierra Madre Middle School or Octavia Butler is not your neighborhood school, because those are the only schools that have that program. And although typically students enter dual language immersion in kindergarten, if you have a student who is fluent or wants to enter a DLIP program at an upper grade, you can also complete an open enrollment application. However, your student will also be assessed before being accepted into the program. Now, who should participate in open enrollment? Again, all students who are entering transitional kindergarten must participate in open enrollment. If you want to attend a school that's not your assigned school, dual language immersion. If you are currently on a permit to attend a school through open enrollment and you want to return to your home school next year, you should also submit an open enrollment application. Marshall Secondary School does not have a neighborhood assigned school. So anybody who wants to attend Marshall needs to submit an application. And if you want to attend a high school academy that isn't located at your neighborhood high school, you should submit an open enrollment application. So every school in PUSD does have a transitional kindergarten program, but even if you want to attend your neighborhood school's transitional kindergarten, you must participate in open enrollment. There are limited spaces at some programs, so it's possible that you might be accepted into a transitional kindergarten program other than your neighborhood school. Once a student is accepted into a transitional kindergarten program, you can remain at that school through fifth grade. So this gives you a list of where the special programs are. Students who have IEPs or have accommodations through a 504 plan and attend a regular classroom may participate in open enrollment. You can indicate this on your open enrollment application so that staff can ensure that your students' need will be met at the school you select. Students who are in a special day class who have a specific school or classroom placement, you should check with your IEP team to determine what schools would be a good fit for your student before you submit an open enrollment application. Now, PUSD has several magnet programs at schools. And if you live in the neighborhood of a magnet school, you do not need to submit an open enrollment application. So for programs like an arts magnet, STEM, STEAM, or the International Baccalaureate program, if you want to attend those programs and you're not in that assigned neighborhood school, then you need to participate in open enrollment. However, if you are in those neighborhoods, you do not. So for example, if Altadena Arts is your neighborhood school and you want to attend the French program, you do need to submit an open enrollment application. But if you want to attend the English program and participate in the school-wide arts magnet program, you do not need to submit an application. The same is true for families who live in the Jackson and Longfellow neighborhoods. If you want to attend their magnet program, you do not need to submit an open enrollment application. But if you want to attend the Spanish dual language immersion program, you do. Okay, so how exactly does the lottery process work? So starting January 14th, you'll be able to list every school that you prefer to your assigned neighborhood school. So if your question is, what schools should I put first because you think there's a better way of getting into it than just listing it first? The answer is list the schools in the priority order that you want them. So put your first preference first and your second preference second, because there's no way to game the system. It also doesn't matter if you submit your application on the first day, January 14th, or on the last day, January 28th. Though personally, I wouldn't recommend that you wait until the 28th, just in case. And here's how the lottery works. It's random. So let's say if your application randomly gets assigned number 10 in the lottery, then your application will be the 10th that will be placed. The system will try to place you in your first choice, your second choice, your third choice, and so on until one of your choices has space for you. If every school you've listed is full, then you will be placed at your neighborhood school. You'll be notified of your placement, and the information will also be available on the Open Enrollment webpage starting February 11th. If you are placed at your first choice school, you'll accept your placement and register online for that school. If you do not receive your first choice placement, in order to remain on the wait list for your preferred schools, you should also accept your placement and register. So if you're accepted into your fourth choice, you should accept that placement, register at that school, and then later, if a higher preference school on your list has space available, you will be notified and PUSD will transfer your registration to your new school placement. You must accept your placement in order to remain on wait lists. So when you're notified, even if it's not your first choice, if you don't accept your placement and register, you will be withdrawn from the open enrollment process. So it's very important to accept and register your choice. Now, if you happen to live in one of the areas of the fire and you were displaced, there is a section on the open enrollment application that does give you an opportunity to explain that. PUSD recognizes that many families had to leave the area, and so you will still be treated as a resident family if your permanent address is in the PUSD boundaries. even if you're living outside of it now. Now, if you're living outside of Pasadena, Altadena, or Sierra Madre temporarily, you will need to get an interdistrict permit to attend a Pasadena Unified School District school. It's not difficult to do. What you should do is just do a search online for wherever it is you're living. Let's say it's Monrovia, you just search interdistrict permit for Monrovia. You fill out the form and you explain that your house burned down during the fires and you're only temporarily living at this current address. PUSD will not hold your application while you apply for your permit. Your application will be processed like any other resident student. Okay, this is a sample of what your web page will look like when you submit an application. So that will have your student's name, and there's a place in the upper middle that has messages that will have copies of all the emails that the district has sent to you. So in case you missed any, or you have so many emails you don't get to all of them, you can check your messages there. Okay, this is what it will look like when you have submitted your form. So this student was only submitted one application. And you'll see that the student was offered a spot at their one choice, and they have the choice to withdraw, decline, or accept. If they withdraw, they're taken out of the process. If they decline, they're taken out of the process. So you must accept it in order to stay and enroll at your school. Now this shows you a student who listed 3 schools and was accepted to their third choice. So you'll see on the first 2 choices, Washington and Jackson, it says waitlisted, and the third choice, Norma Coombs, it says offer accepted. So the student accepted that placement and will remain on the wait list for Jackson and Washington. Okay, this is an example of the type of message you might receive from the district telling you about your placement. And if you have any questions at all about that, you can let us know, or you can contact the enrollment office. Okay, there's also a second lottery. So if you are out of the country and you miss the first lottery, you can participate in the second lottery. If you live outside of PUSD boundaries, this is when you would submit an application. And once again, the process would be the same. So you have from January 29th to February 19th, and then you'd be notified of your placement. And again, accept your placement in order to get accepted to your higher preference schools if you're not placed at your number 1 choice. Okay, so families will be notified if spaces become available at a preferred school until 2 weeks before the school starts. Now, we can't predict what your chances will be for being accepted into your top choice, but last year at kindergarten, with the exception of 4 schools, all families who entered the first or second lottery and stayed with the process were placed at their top choice. With the exception of Sierra Madre Middle School, all middle and high school students who participated in the lottery got into their first choice. We also encourage you to list more than 1 school. your chances of being placed in one of your top choices goes from 90% to 98% if you list more than one school. So, I mean, the bottom line is if you stick with the process and don't miss your dates, there's a good likelihood you'll be placed in one of your top choices. Now, I mentioned earlier about Marshall being a neighborhood preference, having a neighborhood preference. So Marshall, Field, and San Rafael do not have attendance boundaries. That means that no one is assigned to those schools. As a result, those schools, plus the DLIP programs at Altadena, Jackson, and Longfellow, reserve 50% of their available seats for families who reside within their neighborhood preference zone. You do not need to indicate if you're in a neighborhood preference zone on your open enrollment application. However, in order to get the neighborhood preference, you do need to list that school as your first choice. In the rare instance that there are more students in the preference zone than seats available, families will have a second opportunity through the general lottery to get into that school. How many seats will be available? We don't really know the answer to that question, but it's based on enrollment trends, demographic data, and how many siblings and priority program registrations there are. That's why it's important that you stick with the process, because those numbers change. Somebody gets into a school, they make a different choice, and then a seat becomes available so you can get in. So if your student will be new to PUSD next school year, you'll register online and will need to upload these documents. If you prefer to register in person, you can contact the school to schedule an appointment. This information is also available on the PUSD website, and you'll be notified to what you'll need. And we'll also send you this information so that you don't have to copy this down tonight. So this year's program priority and sibling registration took place from October 21st to November 10th. But I included on this for you so that you know going forward, if you have a second child, that there is an opportunity in the fall for siblings, and if you're continuing with a program. So as your student matriculates from 5th grade to 6th grade, if you're in a special program, then you can also do program priority registration. But don't miss the dates, because then they can't guarantee that you'll have a spot. If you want to attend a PUSD school but live in another school district, you can submit an inter-district permit starting January 29th. You'll need to be released from your home district, so contact them for their dates and to confirm the process. Since schools get their funding based on attendance, districts are often not crazy about letting students go to other districts, so you need to have what they would consider a good reason to attend a school district other than where you live. That would be if there's a special program that you're enrolling in that your home district doesn't offer. If you're an employee of the city of Pasadena or PUSD, You can also participate in the regular lottery, even if you live outside of Pasadena, Altadena, and Sierra Madre. You do not need to wait for the second lottery. Okay, and these are the dates and the websites. And Susan and I are available to help you as you're going through this. If you want to talk through any of your choices, if you're confused about how to handle the application, or you just want to bounce ideas off of anybody, we're available to help. And with that, we'll see if we have any questions.
So there's one in the chat, Nancy. What happens if we don't want to stay in the school we get allocated for TK and want to return to our homeschool for kinder? Are we prioritized since it's our homeschool? So that's the two questions, but that's the first part.
Let me wait. How do I stop share? Oh, there we go. Okay. I don't know whether you get a priority or not. I would think you should.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to go. You were saying earlier that if you are at a school other than your neighborhood school and you want to return to your neighborhood school the following year, you do go through open enrollment.
Yeah, but I think that
But
your
I think if it's
application goes to the top
because it's your neighborhood school.
because
The
it's your
second
neighborhood school.
the second part of that question was, do we need to set up a PUSD account before January 14th when open enrollment begins? And I think the answer is no.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
I'm not
you
even sure you can actually. Oh, Shannon, you're there. Shannon, would you like to chime in?
we have
Sorry, I am here. If you have a question, I was just answering that other one in the chat, so I didn't hear if there's a different question.
No, that was that question.
Yeah, so if you go to a school for TK and then you want to switch schools for kindergarten, you do need to apply. That way we know that you want to transfer and process your application, but you're always going to be prioritized for your homeschool.
Thank you.
okay. So yeah, there's uh I think we answered this, but so if your house had burned down and you were temporarily living outside the district, would you join the first or second lottery? I think the answer was you can join the first lottery. There is a place to indicate that you are a permanent resident affected by the Eaton fire and living elsewhere. So you will still need to get the release from the place where the district where you are living now, but you can do the first lottery.
Yes.
In the enrollment webpage, is there an attachment for the IEP PDF document? That I don't know. Let's see.
Yes.
Yes. Shannon says yes. Shannon, can you just explain, spell that out a little for in case the question comes up for one of us again? What's the document that is being referred to?
Yeah, so if a student has special education services, that would be documented in something called an individualized education plan. When you're applying, we will ask if your student has an individualized education plan or an IEP. And if you say yes, there's a way to upload that document.
Great, thank you. Um, should we enroll in our neighborhood school first and then participate in open enrollment, or just add our neighborhood school to our open enrollment preference list? Um, so if you if your neighborhood school is your first choice, then you don't have to go through open enrollment at all. You can just enroll in your neighborhood school. And Shannon, I guess I want to just double check about what the best way to do that is. But if you would prefer something other than your neighborhood school, if your first choice is a school other than your neighborhood school or a program other than the regular program at your neighborhood school, then then you would need to do open enrollment and you would just list the schools you would prefer to your neighborhood school. And if you don't get any of those preferences, then you automatically would be assigned a seat at your neighborhood school. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. If you're new to PUSD, though, I think the best thing to do if you're not sure is just apply in Schoolmint, list all your choices in your order of preference, including your neighborhood school. So we will let you know based on your application and your preference order what to do next. If your first choice is your neighborhood school, and there's a space available, we'll make you an offer. If your first choice is something else, and you're waitlisted, second choice is neighborhood, we'll offer you your neighborhood school and maintain the wait list. So if you're not sure, I wouldn't worry too much about all the different options. Just apply in Schoolmint, list your true preferences of schools in order, including your neighborhood school, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Thank you. All right, so let's see. So just to clarify, are you prioritized for your homeschool for TK or not until that, or does that not start until kindergarten? So if you were to list your neighborhood, your homeschool as your first choice for TK, and it is but per your address in your application, your neighborhood school, is there some kind of
Yes.
prioritization for that?
Yes, you would be prioritized, but some schools don't have multiple TKs. So it's possible that you could get assigned somewhere else.
Okay. So the next question is, do we pick the website we use based on which school is our first choice? If our neighborhood school is our second choice, then we use the open enrollment. There's one website for doing the open enrollment application. So
Right, it's
that's
just Schoolmint. You just fill out
Schoolmint.
the application on Schoolmint.
And I
And
think the way when you open that application, you will have an opportunity to list all the schools that you're interested in, including your neighborhood school, if that's one of them. And then you have the opportunity to rank your selections in order of preference. So that's how that works, but it's all one website that you go to.
yeah, and if your neighborhood school is your first preference and you don't want to go to Schoolmint, you can go to the enrollment page on PUSD's website and click on forms, and then you just register for your neighborhood school.
Great. All right, my son is in middle school, but currently out of the neighborhood. But I would like to put him in the high school, the neighborhood high school. Do I still have to do the open enrollment?
If he wants to attend your neighborhood high school, he does not need to do open enrollment.
Right.
Like one exception would be if they're at Blair or Marshall.
Right. And I don't know if Victor was that Victor's iPhone. Did that clarify your question? Let us know if not. Okay. Will the student be guaranteed a spot in neighborhood school for TK if not getting into his preferred choices? Shannon, do you want to answer that?
Sure. Yeah. The answer is no. You're not guaranteed a spot in your neighborhood school for TK because of what Nancy was mentioning. some schools only have, for example, one TK class, so they might be full. So the best thing to do is include all the schools that you would be interested in attending in the event that your neighborhood school happens to be full. So for TK, it's really important to make sure that you submit an application.
And it's important to put more than one school for TK. Where kinder, you are guaranteed a spot for kinder.
Okay, so if a TK student has an IEP, will the school take a look at their plan before offering them a spot to make sure it's a good fit? So you mentioned something about including that. Do you want to just reiterate the point about the IEP, or maybe Shannon respond to that?
Yeah, this one's a little bit it adds more information to the original question. So, in the Office of Enrollment, we will offer placement based on the parents' responses. So, we'll ask you which special education program your child is in or what services they need. For example, some students receive speech services, some students might be in a special day class. So, we will look at that information. However, our Office of Enrollment staff are not experts in your student's individualized education plan. So the ultimate placement is going to be up to your IEP team. So you want to reach out to the Office of Special Education and ask them which schools offer the program and services that are in your student's IEP. That way, you know the schools you're applying for have those services.
Thank you. Let's see here. We're still undecided about the neighborhood school, but we don't want to lose our spot. So should we register during the early registration period through forms? And if we do that, will we still be allowed to participate in open enrollment if we change our mind? I think once you register at your neighborhood school, you are not able to then participate in the open enrollment process. So you do have to kind of make up your mind about that, I guess. However, you should still be able to register at your neighborhood school, uh, after January, as long as you don't wait until the last minute. If you were to just show up in August and say, "Hey, we're here," it's possible that the school might be full. But if you do, you don't want to register before the open enrollment, and then you're not able to do the open enrollment. So if you're still trying to make up your mind, you would want to wait a little bit. Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, nobody asked about twins. I just realized, so if you have twins and you want them to be at the same school, then you fill out separate applications for each of them and you put the same schools in the same order. And that way they will both be placed at the same school.
Okay. How soon can we apply to Learns and adventure programs for before or after school care? And are you guaranteed spots for these programs?
That's not till much later in the school year. I want to say May, June. And you're not guaranteed space.
Yeah. So I think the best thing to do is to, when you know what school you're going to be going to, follow them, the PTA or the school Facebook page, and just sort of keep an eye out for that. Penn will also try to uh, post some information when we hear that those applications are being available. It is a good idea to get the application in as soon as it becomes available for both Learns and the a little less so, I think, for the after-school adventure programs, but the Learns programs do fill up at some schools, particularly for after school. Uh, so it is not guaranteed, but yeah. Let's see here. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So Shannon has just posted, we will be emailing a welcome kit with after-school program registration information to all newly registered students. That's great. Okay. All right. I am not seeing any other questions.
Oh, there is one more.
Oh, where'd it go?
What happens if you register at a school and then you
Oh.
can't get into the after-school care? Would you be able to change schools? No. In a word, hopefully with the school would have one of the programs that you would be able to make work. Hopefully.
There are some other programs other than Learns and After School Adventures that are affiliated with schools. Some have, pick up, like Boys and Girls Club will pick up and bring kids back to their site. So there are some other options, but those are the main options. And I know that last year, the Family and Community Engagement Office I want to say it was around in March, early in the spring, did actually have a program, just sort of like a after schools program fair, kind of an opportunity to see what options are there and learn more about it. And so we will definitely keep you posted if that happens again. That was a good source of information.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, well, we're here. We'll hang for a few minutes if you want to talk to us more tonight, or if not, again, feel free to contact either Susan or I with your questions.